So there could be a part of you that misses being single and misses living alone. But there's also a part of you that craves deep connection, love, and support that an intimate relationship could bring. There could be a part of you that wants to travel the world spontaneously and pick up and go at any moment. And also a part of you that wants to have a home base and to feel settled and cozy. There could be a part of you that envisioned you would end up with someone more like your type. And also a part of you that loves your partner and what they bring to the table, even though you could have never dreamed of that type of partner. There could be a part of yourself that feels scared to go, and a part of yourself that feels scared to stay. There could be a part of yourself that feels a sense of relief at going, and a part of yourself that feels a sense of relief at staying. So notice how these different parts of ourselves, in some ways, they feel like they're competing, or how could both of those coexist? But I actually think that a lot more of us than we realize have these competing parts to us. And it's not about trying to eliminate all of the parts of us, but more so seeing them and trying to understand where they're coming from. This notion of having different parts and the parts serving different purposes for us stems from internal family systems therapy. Now, I understand internal family systems at the very basic level. It's something that I do plan to explore more in the future, and something that I think is a very important thing to at least have a basic awareness of. At a very simple level, you can kind of think of these different parts of your mind or yourself as the different Pixar characters in the movie Inside Out, which I absolutely love. I think they're coming out with a second version of that movie, or like a part 2, and I'm really excited about that. But I've found this personally to be kind of a helpful analogy for seeing the different parts of ourselves. And just in case you haven't seen the movie, very quick background context. So there's this main character, Riley, and she has different emotions within herself. And for the sake of this conversation, you can think of these different emotions as different parts of herself that are guiding her through her life. They literally are like in the console of her mind and, kind of pushing all these different gadgets to have her doing different things. And so the parts or the characters in the movie of these emotions for Riley are joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. Now, of course, this is just a movie, so it's very simple, and there's many more potential parts or many more potential emotions that we could be experiencing. But for the sake of the movie and for the sake of this conversation, trying to keep it as simple as possible, each of these emotions or parts have different motivations for Riley, the main character. Some of them want her to be protected and safe, and some of them want her to enjoy and have fun and be carefree. And this is the same for us and how we live our life, or at least this is the principle of internal family systems and how they believe that humans are wired. We have different parts of us that have different goals. And what's super interesting is neuroscientists estimate that only 5% of our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, and our beliefs are driven by our conscious mind, and that the subconscious drives about 95% of our thoughts, beliefs, feelings, and behaviors. And our subconscious is the part of us that's wired for survival and making sure we're safe and in our comfort zone, like I was mentioning earlier. So what this could mean is that even if we have parts of us that consciously want to be content and peaceful and calm in our healthy, loving relationship, there could be a part in our subconscious mind that worries that love never lasts. Maybe we saw growing up that love didn't last in our parents' relationship or relationships around us, or we've had past experiences that show that love doesn't last. And then we deem love as not safe. And so this protective part of ourselves puts up walls to, block out any potential hurt or pain that could come from a relationship ending. So even if this conscious part of ourselves really wants to be in this loving, healthy relationship without so much fear, the protective part of ourselves could be really trying to stay safe and comfortable. Put in another way, another example of this could be our conscious mind wanting to leave a relationship where we're not being treated well, but our subconscious mind may want to stay because there's a deep rooted fear of being alone or being unworthy in relationships. So those are two opposite examples of how different parts of us could be having different goals or motivations. And it's helpful to acknowledge that different parts of ourselves could be craving different things. And that's okay. It's not shaming and making certain parts or certain motivations wrong or bad, but more so to get curious about the motivations that are driving these parts. So if you're looking for a little bit more of like the basics on internal family systems or how this could play out, I did a great podcast episode now almost a year ago with Alex, who is a counselor in internal family systems. He has the Instagram account For Love We Heal. It's episode 18 called Making Space for Our Anxious Parts. And this goes into a little bit more depth about how our parts can show up for us. But if you just want to kind of get a little bit of a basic set of questions to reflect on here, I'm going to leave you with some great questions that I found in this article summarizing IFS, which is written by Jeremy Sutton, who's a PhD. I will put this in the show notes. And these are the questions that he asks. In order to better understand a part of us, we can check in. What is this part's role and how does it help you manage your life? What is this part's relationship with other people? What positive intent does it have for you? How does it try to protect you? What is it trying to protect you from? And is it happy with its job? So these questions, again, are not necessarily to give you certainty. These questions can just be to explore, get some clarity, see what comes up for you, see what you might be able to learn about yourself. And even defining the different parts of yourself, this can just be like a fun exercise. Please don't try to take this and feel like you have to figure it all out. But I'll just walk you through one example of one of my more anxious or protective parts, which I'm just going to name the achiever. So you can kind of check in with yourself, like what parts of myself do I see? And like if I had to name them or personify them a little bit, what would they look like? Maybe you have an achiever part of yourself. Maybe you have a bubbly, outgoing part of yourself. Maybe you have a flow, chill part of yourself that you call flow, whatever it is. I'm just going to walk through an example with my part, the achiever, with these 6 questions and kind of give you an example of how you can just, again, start exploring and getting curious. So for me, my achiever's role is to make sure I get things done, that I'm making progress and growing, and that I'm moving towards my goals and visions. Even if those goals and visions may have been a little bit perfectionistic or based on what I think other people need to do. My achiever's relationship with others is to please them and make sure I'm seen as doing well and make sure that I am meeting the needs of other people. My achiever's positive intent for me is to be successful and happy, but my achiever tries to protect me by keeping me busy and not slowing down and making me be go, go, go. And it tries to protect me by having everything all buttoned up. So even though its positive intent is for me to be successful and happy, the definition of what is successful and happy may be a little bit hazy or fuzzy because it tries to get me to be successful and happy by protecting me from failure, protecting me from being unfulfilled or unhappy. And I think that the version of me that is trying to avoid unfulfillment or avoid unhappiness is in some ways also striving for perfection, striving for happiness all the time, striving to keep me busy, keeping me on the go, have everything all figured out, all sorted, all buttoned up, all happy all the time, which ends up being a lot of pressure. Maybe you can relate to this. And to answer the question, is the achiever happy with its job? I would say that the achiever is happy with its job temporarily, and at times it definitely is. But I would say that my achiever, and I think many other people's achiever, ends up kind of always then going for the next thing. And I think that can be one of the challenges of being an achiever, is that it's really hard to soak in what's going well and you are kind of rushing on to the next thing. So that was just one example. There are many more parts within me. There are many more parts within you. And you can just begin exploring them by asking these questions, seeing what comes up, and remembering that there are no wrong answers and no right answers, but it's just a chance to get curious.